When people imagine moving to the south of France, they often picture sunshine, old stone houses, and the slower pace of life. And yes, those things are real, but there is so much more to village life that isn't obvious on the surface. There are no guides for it, no welcome booklet, no moment where someone sits you down and explains how things work. Instead, you learn slowly, by watching, listening, and adjusting. Living in a French village hasn't been about learning the big rules. It's been about noticing the quiet ones, the small habits, expectations, and rhythms that shape everyday life without ever being spoken.
Today I want to share some of the unwritten rules I learned since moving here. Not as advice and not as instructions, just observations shaped by time. We've been living in a village in the south of France over a year now, and these are the things I could only understood after living here day after day.
Living in a village means accepting that life happens very close by. Church bell rings early in the morning, sometimes earlier than you like. Tractors pass through streets that suddenly feel much narrower than expected. Some village centers are so tight you genuinely wonder if the car will fit between the walls. Festivals can go late into the night and keep you awake. Neighbors dog bark. Hunting season arrives every year, whether you feel ready for it or not. And you learn to be more vigilant when walking or hiking. At the beginning, I found some of this a little difficult. Not necessarily because it was bad, but because it was unfamiliar. Here, these things aren't inconveniences. They are part of the landscape.
Over time, I learned that adapting doesn't mean loving everything. It means understanding that not everything needs to be commented on, questioned, or changed.
Sometimes belonging begins with observing quietly and letting life unfold around you as it is. And if you enjoy honest, quiet videos about everyday life in the south of France, you might enjoy this channel. One of the first things you notice in village life is how much greetings matter. In a village, bonjour isn't just polite, it is essential. You say it when you enter a shop, when you walk into a waiting room, when you pass someone on a quiet street, even if you don't know them.
At first, this felt very strange to me, almost exaggerated. I remember feeling unsure, wondering if I'm overdoing it. But over time, it became clear that it's not about formality at all. It's about acknowledgement.
Saying bonjour is a way of saying, I see you, I recognize you, I respect that we share this space. One thing that surprised me in a good way is how friendly village life feels in most places. People smile, they say bonjour, they acknowledge you as you pass. There is a warmth in everyday interactions that I really wasn't expecting.
And yet, that friendliness doesn't automatically turn into friendship. And at the beginning, I found it confusing because everybody was kind and everybody was welcoming, but relationships still took time.
What I slowly understood is that friendliness here is about shared space. It's about recognizing each other as part of the same daily life.
Friendship, though, grows more quietly. It builds through repetition, through seeing each other day after day, through time, not intensity. And once I stopped expecting relationships to develop quickly, things felt much easier, and I could appreciate the friendliness for what it was without needing it to be anything more straight away. One thing that really surprised me about village life is how little pressure there is to perform. You don't need to explain who you are, you don't need an interesting backstory, you don't need to justify where you came from or why you are here.
At the beginning, I think I carried that pressure with me. I wanted people to understand us quickly, almost immediately, where we came from, what we were doing, why we chose this life. There was a quiet urge to make sense of ourselves to others, to be understood, to be placed somewhere.
But here, that doesn't seem to matter very much. What matters is being steady.
Going to the same places, showing up in the same way, living your life without trying to stand out.
In a village, familiarity goes through presence, not personality. You don't need to be interesting, you just need to be there.
And over time, that quiet consistency becomes a kind of belonging, without ever having to announce yourself. Village life runs on a different sense of time. Shops close for lunch, many close on Mondays. Sundays are intentionally quiet. At first, this can feel frustrating. You forget something and you realize you have to wait. You misjudge timings. You assume something will be open, and it is not.
But gradually, you adjust. You plan ahead, you accept the pauses, and you stop expecting constant availability.
Lunch becomes protected time. Rest is built into the week. Life feels slower, but also less convenient. And eventually, you stop fighting that rhythm, and you start moving with it instead.
Being invited into someone's home here feels significant. It doesn't happen quickly, and sometimes it takes much longer than you expect.
But when it does, it feels intentional. Meals aren't rushed. They are long. They unfold slowly. There are quiet expectations, bringing something small, staying longer than you planned.
But more than the customs, what stand out is the time. Meals doesn't squeeze between other plans. They are the plan.
And when you are invited, it feels like a quiet sign of acceptance.
Another change I didn't fully expect is how much comparison fades in village life.
There is less focus on what people do for work, less interest in achievements, less pressure to be moving forward all the time. Life here is about routines, in seasons, in everyday things. People come to know each other through daily life, not through titles or milestones.
And without realizing it at first, it softens something inside me. I stopped comparing myself as much, and I stopped feeling like I needed to be somewhere else or I needed to be further along.
And when comparison quiets down, there is more space to simply live, to be where you are, to let life be enough.
Living in a French village has been a slow process of adjustments. There wasn't one moment when suddenly everything made sense.
It happened quietly, through repetition, through mistakes, through paying attention.
These unwritten rules aren't barriers. They are what holds small communities together.
Learning them hasn't meant losing who I am, just learning how to live alongside others in a different rhythm.
I'm still learning and I still get things wrong, but over time I stopped feeling like a visitor and started to feel at home. If you have ever moved somewhere new, I would love to know what were the unwritten rules you had to learn.
Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one. A bientôt!